this week's broadcast, it's all about the Chinese New Year. How will it affect the logistics industry and train traffic between Europe and China? This is RailFreight Live. It's Friday, 29 January, and today it's all about the Spring Festival, the biggest festival in China of the year. And in the studio with us, we have Yige Chen from the Europe-China ECommerce Association. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we will refer to you by your English name, Eric.
Yes.
All right. We also have some guests on the line. We have Jet Zhang from the Eurasia Railway Commission of China Communication and Transportation Association, Tony from North Star Exhibition, and last but not least, our own Hoylin, who is the editor of RailFreight CN. Welcome to all of you. But before we start talking to you about Chinese New Year, we want to talk to Im Traut-Tondorf, who's also on the line with us, and she is from Hupak. And with her, we want to talk about the ban of pocket wagons in all of Denmark, because this is an extension of the earlier ban for this type of wagons. But then it was only applied to the Great Belt Bridge, where a train carrying semi-trailers in pocket wagons was seen making a shift. And the strong response of the Danish authorities to the incident can be explained by the fact that 2 years ago, a fatal accident took place on the same bridge, involving the same pocket wagons. But the measures are considered unproportionately harsh by the industry. Now, Im Traut, Hupak is operating such trains across Scandinavia. How is this measure perceived by your company?
Yes, in this moment, the situation is definitely not easy. Trains, semi-trailers are stopped. They cannot run on any stretch in Denmark. This means that logistics needs to find alternatives, which is not easy in such a short term. We still have a corona situation, so this adds difficulty, and the risk is that freight will go on road instead on staying on rail. This definitely does not contribute to the image, to the confidence of rail in this situation. But let's have a look a little bit closer to the whole situation. We as Hupak, we run let's say 200,000 semi-trailers per year all over Europe. And we have never seen such a situation in any other place in Europe. We had this, of course, 2 years ago, exactly at the same spot under very, very similar conditions. And of course, we definitely need to understand what are the underlying reasons. We need to take all necessary measures that keep safety of the rail very high. But now, what are the reasons? Technical investigations are still in process, and I think that it's a little bit difficult to understand why recommendations and the technical documentations from the incident that happens 2 years ago are still not available to the market. So in the meantime, there was no concrete indications of what was the reasons, of what needs to be done, of what needs to be improved. I will not go in technical details if it was the wind, the wagon, the what's. This is not the correct moment to talk about the reasons that have brought to the severe incident 2 years ago and to the risky situation that we had today. Still, in the meantime, what has happened, everything has been blocked, and this is not a good, realistic solutions in the logistics world. Think about having a trailer, a truck on the road that had a severe accident or a nearby accident. You would not have blocked the whole traffic of trucks on the regional network. You might have put additional, let's say, speed reduction or specific measures on single points. This is obviously necessary in the meantime. So our suggestion would be restrict the limiting measures to single points, to where it makes sense, to reduce risk by still giving logistics the opportunity to continue to run. This would maybe mean speed reduction, a limitation on the bridge when there is strong wind, a limitation on the bridge maybe run only by night where there are no passenger trains, to find in any case solutions that keep safety high. But there's, from our point of view, no need to block the whole network all over Denmark for a kind of transportation that has been proven to be safe over a long period in a lot of countries. Let's stay punctual.
Yeah, and when the Danish authorities issued the extension of the ban, which was 2 days ago, apologies, did they explain why the entire network and all of Denmark, did they explain that to you operators?
No, they did not explain it. Of course, there are safety procedures that are in place, and for more safety, for adding safety, they took this measure.
Yeah.
From our point of view, we need to find alternatives for logistics, and we urge politics to rethink this restriction and to put in place measures that are less harming logistics overall.
Yeah, and exactly how much is the loss for you in terms of volumes?
When we are in the middle of the crisis, we act, and later we do the numbers.
Yeah. But are you able to provide alternatives for all your services, or just part of them?
No, definitely not. We can only run our trains up to the border stations, and we can run our trains for any other loading units, of course, which are containers or swap bodies, but no semi-trailers on them. For the semi-trailers, we need to stop at the Danish border.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you very much. For sure, this will be not be the last talk we have about this topic. So let's continue the talk later. Thank you very much. As mentioned, we're going to talk about the Chinese New Year, a very happy period usually for people in China. Eric, you're obviously not in China. We're in Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Do you usually go back to China?
Yes. I usually go back to China during the Chinese New Year.
Right, and where are you from?
I'm from Dalian.
All right, and where is that exactly?
It's a north part of the country.
Okay.
It's close to Beijing.
Yeah. And was it not possible to go back, or you chose not to go back?
I chose not to go back.
And why is it?
Because we have to stay in quarantine in China.
Right.
So, yes.
For how long do you need to stay in quarantine?
For 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
So it doesn't make it worth the trip, actually.
No.
Yeah. Hoylin, you're also on the line with us. And you're also not in China. You are in the Netherlands as well.
Yes. And I don't plan to go back China as well.
No. Same reasons?
Yeah, same reasons.
Yeah.
And as I heard, for some cities, you need to be in hotel quarantine for 2 weeks and another 2 weeks at home.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you only get to see your family for half of the time you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you explain how big is Chinese New Year for Chinese people?
For me personally, it's a special time for my family, and it might be the only chance that all the family members can be gathered together and share some cheering times. So for everyone, they will choose who are working or studying from in another city. They will go back to China. Go back to their hometown. To see their family.
Yeah. And Jet Young and Tony, you are in China, both of you. Are you traveling anywhere?
21st, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Tony.
okay. So I stay in Beijing, and I will travel to my hometown maybe 1 week later. But I have to take around 3 to 5 times of test to make sure I'm not infected. And after the Spring Festival, I will take the vaccines for free. So I think in China, maybe in 1 or 2 months, everything will be okay, I think.
Yeah, but you're not going home.
Yeah, I'm going home. Before I going home, the government requires me to have a test of more than maybe 2 or 3 times. And when I go back to Beijing, also we will have 2 or 3 times of test to make sure everybody is safe.
Yeah. And you, Jet?
I'm actually a Shanghainese, so I'm based in Shanghai. Usually I do not travel during Spring Festival because I used to travel a lot, in a normal year. But last year, because of this COVID-19 thing, so I actually decreased a lot. So we actually work from home.
Yeah. And you're not going anywhere now?
No, I will not.
No. That's, of course, I think, a sad way to celebrate. But let's keep the happy spirit a little bit. Hoilin, how is this all affecting the logistics industry? I mean, I can imagine that more people are going to stay home. Does that mean less disruption of trains, you think?
I think the biggest issue is I would say the most vulnerable part of logistics, which is the first mile and the last mile. So we will facing a shortage of truckers because as I learned, more than 90% of truckers are from another city. And so normally we call it Spring Festival Travel Rush will start 2 weeks before New Year and ends 3 weeks after the New Year. So this year, the travel rush actually started from yesterday, 28th of January. And the new policy says, after yesterday, for everyone who travels back home from another city, negative corona test proof, and also at least 2 weeks of quarantine at home are required. So to avoid it, most of people and also truckers started their journey back home before yesterday. So actually, it's not an issue that is around the corner, but it's already happening now.
Yep.
So so even though all the ports and terminals will be still in operation, probably in a lower efficiency, and all the express companies as well, but there won't be enough truck drivers available for distribution.
Yeah.
And as I heard, at this moment, there are massive cargoes stocked in warehouses and cannot be delivered.
And that's already the case in China.
Yeah.
And are there also cancellations of train journeys to China because of this?
I'm sorry?
Are there any cancellations known of train departures to China because of this congestion?
I haven't heard any cancellations, but there might be some delays.
Yeah. Now, if we compare this to last year, how can we compare it to last year? Do you think it's worse? Are we better off, worse off?
I can say the situation started earlier compared to last year, but because normally not only the shortage of truckers, but also the transporting prices by road will go up. Like normally it would be 20% to 50%, but this year I see it can be even higher. And since the shortage starts earlier, so the situation is worse now. But and personally speaking, because we already collected some, we learned from our previous experiences. So I think the industry can overcome this year like pretty well.
Yeah. Jet, do you think we have learned from our previous experience?
Yeah, I think so.
Jet, what do you think? Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Eileen. Just try to expand that actually we are facing a quite difficult situation with the truckers because I heard from the colleagues from the industry that they really tried very hard trying to find the truckers in this case. Yeah. I just want to discuss that.
Yeah. Eventually everything turned out well last year because yes, there was a lot of disruption, but around March there was a record month and everything turned back to normal. Can you give us a little bit of an overview on how Eurasian rail transportation did last year?
I think for last year, actually, we see quite a sharp change because at the beginning of the year, actually in China, many cities actually locked down for almost 2 or 3 months. But according to the figures, what we see is that in the first 6 months, we see about 5,000 trains departed, which is actually quite, I would say, a stunning achievement because when you consider the special situation. And then when we enter into the second half of the year, I think because of the ocean carriers and the airline, they cut their capacity based on their estimations that the market were going low down. And then quite some volume actually pouring into the railway from China to Europe and also from China to Russia. So you see China Railway just announced that for the whole year, actually, we completed 12,400 trains from China to Russia, from China to Europe. This is actually representing for another 50% increase. So actually, if you can go to the next slide, and maybe the next one, yeah. Here is actually some highlights I would like to share very quickly because you will see these cities highlighted in red color is actually the top ranking cities. If you combine the 4 top ranking cities, actually the combined volume stand for actually almost 80% of the total volume. This is something we should let's say taking to mind because when we talk about top ranking cities, actually they can have a better chance to get a railway planning, for example, from China Railway, which means that their service can be much more stable if you compare to other, let's say, non-top ranking.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the next slide, you will see this border station. Yeah. So you will see actually we have let's say 4 major border stations, which is 2 of them are located in Xinjiang, next to Kazakhstan, and then one in Inner Mongolia, 2 in Inner Mongolia. One is Manchuria, of course, and then another one is this Arlianhaote. But on the east, you actually have a very small one, which is Suifenghe, next to Russia. And in the last year, actually, they sent 200 trains. Which is not very big, but it's quite a big increase. And then when we go to the next slide, you will see. Yeah, next slide, please. And then on this slide, you will see the main destination for Chinese trains coming into Europe is actually Germany, and some volume go to Poland. One thing I would like to invite everybody's attention is that because UTLC, they announced that for the last year, they handled 5,600 trains. The figure is actually referring to let's say the trains coming between Alashanko and the Dostik and the Kogos between Brest and Mala. Let's say most of them they go to Brest and Mala, which means that if you refer to the total amount announced by China Railway, you will actually find that almost half volume is between China and Russia. So actually, the volume between China and Europe, I would say, is almost on the same level with what we have in the year before, which is actually 2019. But one interesting thing I would like to mention is that because of the COVID-19 impact on the economy in Europe, actually we are facing aggravated imbalance of the westbound volume and the eastbound volume. It means that actually we have much more westbound trains than eastbound trains in the last year. So this is something I would like to draw everybody's attention because this is really creating some challenges. For example, when we talk about a rolling stock relocation and then the container recycle. So this is basically I would like to highlight for the overview. Yeah.
Yeah, the container shortage is actually one of the most discussed topics at the moment. And I've seen reports claiming that Chinese New Year could be the turning point of this shortage. What do you think, Jet? Is that realistic?
Personally, I will not be that optimistic because I will say that long-term wise, I mean, at least for this year, I think we will still facing the shortage of containers. There might be some fluctuation because of many, let's say, factors from the market. But I think if we are talking about overview for the year, I will not be that optimistic unless the vaccine can be proved effective and acquirable for all the countries.
Yeah, and why is the vaccine relevant for the balance question?
Because as long as let's say the COVID-19 situation cannot be controlled, which means that for example, manufacture and export in Europe and in the United States cannot be recovered, which means that this will lead to the result of unbalance of the trade flow between the continents.
Yeah.
So this is the point.
Yeah. Okay. We have a little bit of hope here on the table with us because you are talking about e-commerce, and e-commerce could be that one aspect where trains are going from west to east as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the numbers? What's happening in e-commerce world?
First of all, I would like to thank you for having me here today as the vice president of CBEC. For the railway, China Railway Express, I think I've seen rapid growth as the e-commerce between Europe and China grows for the past few years. And I personally experienced the business of the China Railway Express during the 6018 and Double 11 every year. I think e-commerce right now is the engine of the business.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, all the traditional industry has been greatly impacted. But in the meantime, we've seen e-commerce has greatly developed, both in Europe and China.
Yeah, because people can continue anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
Are they affected by this manufacturing stop or closure that Jet Young referred to?
Of course, but I think it's more like an opportunity. It gives the manufacturers and shops to go online now.
Yeah.
To do live stream.
Yeah.
It's new ways of doing marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this imbalance also evident in e-commerce? Is it imbalance between East and West?
I think we have the export and import is still going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there, for example, more products going from East to West, from China to Europe than going back?
At the beginning of last year, it is more products coming from China to Europe.
Yeah.
And right now, we are seeing balance.
You see a balance?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's actually very good, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have some statistics with you?
Yes. Last year, at CBEC, we have seen the trade value between the Netherlands and China reach $91.8 billion US, which is 14% higher than 2019.
Yeah.
And actually, more than 80% of the e-commerce trade value come from the Netherlands.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
80%.
80%
of all the world.
Of the EU, China.
Wow, that's really a lot. And what are the products from the Netherlands that people are interested in?
Well, milk powders, things like that.
Yeah, and they ordered that online.
Yes, through business.
Yeah, and the other,
yes.
And the other way around. What do people order in the Netherlands from China?
I think beginning of last year, it's always mask. So we did a lot of medical equipment and medical things from China to Europe.
Yeah,
that's the main stuff. Yeah.
And what do you expect from this year? Do you expect to see any changes or specific developments?
I think e-commerce, both in China and Europe, will continue to grow because of COVID. It gives the e-commerce the opportunity to grow, and there are new ways of marketing, like I said before. So live stream. It enables people to basically become their own celebrity, own online influencers. Yeah. And they can share their knowledge to the general public.
Yeah.
And yes, and for the business and companies, and they have now trouble to reach out to their end consumers. And through these new strategies, through e-commerce, through live stream, it basically shortens the distance between them and also the end consumer. Yes.
It's actually a good thing.
Yeah, actually
this
good.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
What about Chinese New Year? Does that impact e-commerce as well?
Yeah, of course. Every year before Chinese New Year and during Chinese New Year, we sell a lot. The sales numbers is always grows. Yeah, that's the very big moment for us.
Yeah, and why is that?
Because people always have to buy. They have a lot of need. Everything has to be renewed. That's the tradition of the Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
TVs, new cars, new everything.
Yeah, new cars. Yes,
really?
Everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Clothes, everything.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. All right, that's a very interesting development. I would like to turn to Tony. Tony, are you still with us?
Hi.
What are the main challenges you expect in 2021 in terms of train traffic between China and Europe?
I think there may be some change for the local China-Europe freight trade platform company. You know, the 5 assembly center, but for some province, they also build assembly center. For example, in Shandong, they will have only 3 assembly cities: Jinan, Qingdao, and Linyi. For other cities such as Yantai, they have to ship their goods to Qingdao and Jinan, then go to Europe. And also, more platform companies are cooperate with logistic giants such as Maersk, China Post, Costco, because logistic giants have more subsidies, more ports, more offices around the world. But for the China provincial platform companies, they don't have. They are only local companies. And also, you know, more companies come out in the end of 2020 and in the beginning of 2021. For example, the Yangtze River Railway Company established, and it includes Shanghai, Wuhan, Chengdu, and Chongqing. And the provincial platform company in this company or along the Yangtze River covers around the more than 40% of the total China EU freight trade volume. So this new company will change the situation of China. And also, I have talked with some officers from the China Transportation and the Logistic Ministry. They are so a little bit different from your opinion. They think that China will focus on more on the semi-products, for example, the automobile products and also the spare parts for computers. You know, at the very, very beginning in 2011, Chongqing has attracted investment from the HP and the Foxconn because they are computer producers and computer spare parts producers, and they can provide one trip from Chongqing to Duisburg each week. So for some cities in southern China, you can rely on e-commerce, but for other cities in northern China, it's impossible. So their only chance is to ship more spare parts, semi-products from China to Europe, from Japan and Korea to Europe. So as I traveled in North China more often in last 2 months, I noticed more provincial platform companies are focused more on the semi-products. That's what I saw.
What do you think? Is it competition for the e-commerce business? Eric? This semi-finished goods that Chinese companies are focusing on, do you see that as a competition?
Oh, I think it's opportunity.
Yeah.
Because before we always export stuffs from Europe to China, and now I see the trend also for the Chinese products to come to Europe, and that's exactly what we do as VEC. We have always been promoting the Chinese products exporting to Europe. We set up our concept is actually front end show and back end sell. So it basically collects all the good Chinese products. As he also mentioned, we ship it to the Netherlands and we show the European customers how is it in our warehouse in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but is it true that not every region can rely on e-commerce, as Tony said?
Oh, I think everybody has to adapt. Yeah. It is the trend of how business works, and especially for Europe, I think it's important for everybody to be aware of this new way of doing it. Because for China, e-commerce we have developed for so many years, but Europe we have to really get together, and especially new ways. For example, live streaming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Tony, you mentioned another interesting thing, that of assembly points, that there will be several assembly points, and you also said that there's a big company having 40%, if I'm not mistaken, of all the volumes. How do you look at this development? Because it looks like everything is going to be more centralized. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. The first point is, the subsidy for the Sino-EU freight trade is from the local government, not from the central government. Even we can say the NRDC has announced a fund of 200 million RMB for the 5 assembly center. 200 million RMB is very, very small amount for the subsidy. So if more local government want to run the Sino-EU freight trade, they have to be constrained. Just as I mentioned for the Shandong province, around 6 cities have launched their Sino-EU freight trade, but they have enough. They don't have enough goods. They don't have enough goods resources. So they have to attract resources from the Korea, from Japan. So we do think the China-EU freight trade is channel. It's a channel. The China-EU freight trade is not only serving the local government, the local province. It will serve the whole China. That is why they have to concentrate. If only 1 or 2 countries center in one province, it can attract more resources from the neighboring provinces, even from the Korea and Japan, such as East Asia or the Asian countries. So I do think that the concentration is a very good thing.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank you all very much for sharing such useful insights. Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you.
And this brings us already to the end of this week's broadcast. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find our shows here and other interesting content. See you next week. Goodbye.
En ook u kunt hier zitten, want deze coronaproof studio is te huur voor uw congres, vergadering of webinar. We hebben alle techniek in huis om u hierbij te helpen. Kijk voor meer informatie op promedia.nl. Ik zie u graag in onze studio.
Left.